Hello and welcome to the Cupcake Jemma channel with me, Gemma, and I'm here in everyone's favourite kitchen, the studio test kitchen. Everyone's favourite because it's super cute, it's pink and turquoise, and big bonus is that it's finished, unlike the rest of the studio, which you might have gathered by now because we still haven't done a studio tour, but don't forget you can get sneak peeks of the building of the studio if you are a member of the Bake Club. If you want to join our Bake Club, go over to patreon.com/CupcakeJemma to sign up. But anyway, back to business. So this is a recipe that I actually worked on quite a long time ago and then completely forgot about. And I thought it was time I shared it with you. And it is my recipe for homemade Oreo cookies. I like to call them Noreos or Oreos, but you know what I'm talking about, basically. They're Oreos, but homemade. And they're really, really easy and really delicious. We've got an intense chocolatey vanilla-y flavour and a creamy filling. And it's basically just make the dough, make the buttercream, sandwich it together, Bob's your uncle. So I'm going to start by making my dough. So I've got my stand mixer here. I've got very soft butter, 225 grams of that. And I'm going to add 50 grams of dark Muscavado sugar. That's the lovely sort of fudgy stuff. And that's going to add a real nice, like intense caramelliness to the bake. Pop that in, and I've also got 150 grams of caster sugar, and that needs to just beat together for probably a couple of minutes. It'd be helpful if I turned it on, wouldn't it? Click. Until it's pale and fluffy. Right, this is looking pretty whippy. So I'm going to add one large egg, and then I'm going to beat that in as well. Do give the sides of your bowl a scrape if you need to. Sometimes the mixer doesn't quite catch everything. I like to let it go. Oh, sorry, I'm flicking egg at Sam. I like to let it go for a little bit first and then see how it's doing before I scrape it. Yeah, it's scraping time. Get your spatula in there, guys. So just give that one last blast just to make sure that all the egg has been beaten into the sugar and butter. Doesn't take long, that's pretty good. And now I'm going to add my dry ingredients. Now you can, if you want to, sieve these all together in advance if you want to be like super prepared. I'm not super prepared today, but also I don't want loads of washing up. So I'm just going to put it straight into the mixing bowl with a sieve. So I've got some plain flour here. I'm going to pop that in along with lots and lots of good quality cocoa powder. You can, if you want, use the black cocoa powder for like a super duper intense chocolatey thing and like really, really black. But actually I find there's so much cocoa powder in this, and because of the dark Muscavado, you don't really need it. It's already really intense. I'm also going to, that also had some baking soda in there, sorry, already in the flour. And I've got a teaspoon of good quality sea salt. We've probably mentioned it before, but make sure you use sea salt rather than like table salt, because table salt isn't really proper salt and it doesn't bring out the flavour as well as sea salt. You can do tests with it with a tomato, you'll be amazed. Right, get all that salt through the sieve. Made a bit of a mess here, I'm gonna get told off. So that just needs to be brought together. You can do this by hand if you want. I'm going to be lazy and just put it on the lowest setting of my mixer. I like to kind of pulse it a bit first, otherwise occasionally you might get a face full of cocoa powder, which is obviously not ideal, especially when you're filming. That smells chocolatey. So I think that's probably pretty well mixed. As you can see, it is so dark, and you can see what I was saying about the like black cocoa powder might even be a bit too much. That's just me though. If you want to use black cocoa powder, you go ahead. Now, this is a lot of dough, and we're going to be rolling it to 3 millimeters thick, which is quite thin. So I'm actually going to do that in 2 stages. So you can, if you want to, you can even wrap half of this, refrigerate it, and come back to it another time if you don't want a gazillion Oreos, although that's actually not an official amount of how many this recipe makes, gazillion, unless you use a really small cookie cutter. Right, get all your bits and bobs off. Now, and top tip here, you might be tempted to roll this with some flour, with a floured rolling pin, but what that will do is make your cookie murky. The best thing about these cookies is that they're really dark and really kind of clean and neat and tidy. So to keep that cleanliness and darkness without getting kind of muddy flour all over it when you bake it, I recommend that you roll it between 2 sheets of greaseproof paper. Now stay there. So dump half of your mixture. I'm actually just going to get my hands in there because you do kind of need to like squish it together to a ball just to make sure it's all sort of combined. I'm not kneading it, I'm just like rolling it into a ball, I guess. So here we go. Into the middle. Make sure your greaseproof paper is quite big because this is going to actually create quite a large circle, and what you don't want is for it to sort of be seeping out from between your sheets. Right, give that a little squish, and then, like I said, roll to about 3 millimeters thick. Now, this does take some time. Do take your time with it. Try and make sure you get a nice even circle. But yes, 3 millimeters is what we're going for, and it's quite difficult to see when you do it between the paper, which is why I said take your time. Right, that's both lots of my dough rolled out to a clean 3 millimeter thick, I reckon. I'm not going to get my ruler out, but I think that's pretty good. So these just need to be refrigerated now for at least half an hour, or as long as it takes for you to, you know, I don't know, do your hair, get your nails done. I'll be back. These have been chilling out, and as you can see, they are like discs of cookie dough, which is kind of satisfying. So we want to reveal, oh, look at that. Now that's lovely because it doesn't have all the kind of messy flour on top of it. And actually, I'm going to be using a cookie cutter without dipping it in flour first as well. And I don't need to because it's chilled, so it should just kind of be quite clean. There you go, out it comes. And just pop that onto a baking sheet. I've lined my baking sheet with greaseproof, but you could use a Silpat or something. And this is what, I reckon, 4 centimeters in diameter. I'm no expert. This is one of the most satisfying cookie doughs to chomp through. Just keep going until you've done all your cooking. That's my last space done. I've run out of room on my baking trays, whoops. But you can re-roll your scraps, but do it exactly the same way. So between 2 sheets of greaseproof paper, chilling out in the fridge. But I'm going to now bake these at 170 degrees C for 14 to 16 minutes. While those are baking, I'm going to make the filling, which is basically just regular vanilla buttercream, but you know, buttercream is delicious and it's essentially what is in the middle of an Oreo, you know, give or take a few preservatives and whatnot, which we'll not be adding today. So I'm going to start in the usual way by getting my butter nice and pale. So I've got my butter here. I'm going to add some salt. Don't forget, you can also get all the ingredients and the measurements in the description box below, but also if you're a member of our bake club, which is super duper cool, you can get downloadable PDF versions of all the recipes, including this one, so get yourself over there. So beat that together for, it will take 3 to 5 minutes. You want to get that nice and pale. That is pale and whippy, just how I like it. So I've got my icing sugar, which I've already sifted to make life easier for myself. I'm going to add that, as usual, in 2 stages. This is particularly floofy icing sugar, so maybe your version of it won't cover you in sugar like mine has. I'm going to beat it really well in between each stage. Be careful. Oh, I've been sugared already. That didn't take long. Now for my last bit of icing sugar. As you can see, it's going really, really pale, which is exactly right. A lot of people don't really understand how we get such pale buttercream, but it's literally just, oh gosh, it's literally just time. It just takes time, guys. Woohoo! I'm going to add my milk, but I like to give my buttercream a little scrape first, just to make sure that I haven't missed anything and that all the bits are in the mix. Because no matter how good your mixer is, and this one is brilliant, you do always have a little bit that didn't quite make it into the gang. So I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of milk. I like using whole milk, but you can use whatever milk you like, even milk. I mean, which is probably not much point if you've used butter already, but if you don't have normal milk lying around and you need a non-dairy alternative, they work pretty well as well. And then a little 1/4 teaspoon of good quality vanilla extract in there just to give it some flavour. And then get that beating again. Again, start this slowly because otherwise it's milk in the face. That is bloomin' delicious. Look at that. Floofy, silky, white, just like the real thing, but even realer in many respects. So that's your buttercream made. My cookies have still got a couple of minutes, so I'm going to just have a little clear down, get this into a piping bag, and then it's going to be time to assemble the Oreos. See you in a bit. My lovely buttercream is in a piping bag, and as you can see, I've got a large round nozzle on there. If you wanted to use a star, you could. These are your cookies. Do what you feel, people. So I have laid my cookies out on a cooling rack, and they're nice and chilled out now. And I have also alternated between a smooth side and the rough side, so like the top and the bottom basically, because then it will make it easier when I come to assemble it. So for now, I'm going to just blob a little bit of buttercream onto the center of every other cookie. Then you want to sandwich them, obviously. And I've kept the circles kind of central because what I'm now going to do is squeeze, till it gets right to the edges. Yummy. Looking pretty cool, right? Just keep going. Look at these. I mean, these look authentic, do they not? Look at that, so neat and tidy and delicious. Now, if you want to set these, you can put them in the fridge so that the buttercream firms up and stuff, and so it doesn't all splurge out the sides. But I mean, you know, who's got time for that? Oh, splurge. Look at that. Delicious. Oh, it's really crumbly. Super intensely chocolatey with that lovely creamy vanilla buttercream, which is all over my face, I imagine. Ruining me lippy, probably. So I hope you had fun watching that. I bet you're going to give these a go. And if you do, sorry, I've probably got black teeth right now. If you do, make sure you tag us using #CupcakeJemma on Instagram so that we can see your bakes. We absolutely love seeing your bakes. And yeah. This is my Oreo, homemade Oreo or cookies and cream. I think I probably need a glass of milk to go with this. So I'm gonna go and get myself a glass of milk to dunk this into. And one of us will be back next week with another recipe. So we'll see you then. Thanks for watching.